Now let's take a quick look of all the stories making news from across the globe. China has once again come out in defense of Pakistan. In fact, China's foreign ministry spokesperson has acknowledged China shields Pakistan and has said terror should not be linked with any specific country. Egypt is set to hold its presidential election in March this year. The National Election Commission said that the polls will take place on March 26th and 28th, and a runoff will be held on April 24th and 26th if needed. Results will be announced on April 2nd. Saudi Arabia will be opening its stadium's doors for women. In Friday, Saudi women will be allowed to attend the football matches for the first time ever. They will also be allowed to see the consecutive matches on second and the third day. Special arrangements have been made for the female spectators. Saudi Arabia in recent months has eased some of its restrictions on women, including lifting a ban on driving. The move is part of Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman's efforts to repackage the oil-rich country as moderate and welcoming. The much-awaited high-level talks between North Korea and South Korea have kicked off in Panmunjom. North Korea leader Kim Jong-un mentioned in his New Year's Day speech that his country is willing to send a delegation to the 2018 Pyeongchang Winter Olympics, which was welcomed by President Moon Jae-in. The following day, Seoul offered to hold high-level talks with Pyongyang officials to find ways to cooperate on next month's Winter Olympics, which was accepted by the DRRK on Friday. Pope Francis called on for all nations to support every effort at dialogue to ease tensions on the Korean Peninsula and to work for a legally binding ban on nuclear weapons. During his annual speech to diplomats that has come to be known as his State of the World address, Francis spoke to the diplomats saying that in order to overcome the current disputes and ensure a peaceful future for the Korean people and the entire world, it is very important to support every effort at dialogue on the Korean Peninsula. The Trump administration is ending special protection for Salvadorian immigrants, forcing nearly 200,000 to leave the country or face deportation. El Salvador is the fourth country for citizens have lost the temporary protected status under President Donald Trump, and they have been by far the largest beneficiaries of the program, which provides humanitarian relief for foreigners whose countries are hit with natural disasters or other strife. French President Emmanuel Macron met with his Chinese counterpart Xi Jinping at the Diaoyutai State Guest House in Beijing, accompanied by their spouses and respective delegations. Macron began his first state visit to China with a stop in Xi'an, an eastern departure point of the ancient Silk Road, hoping to relaunch EU-China relations. Often strained by Beijing's restrictions on foreign investment and trade, on Monday, Macron told an audience of academics, students and business people that China and Europe should work together, the Belt and Road Initiative. Britain's Northern Ireland Minister James BROKENSHIRE has resigned because of ill health. This comes as the latest hitch in efforts to resolve a political crisis in the British province. The resignation, announced ahead of a planned cabinet reshuffle by Prime Minister Theresa May, could complicate efforts to restart talks in the coming weeks to avoid a return to direct rule from London for the first time in a decade. BROKENSHIRE, who had been responsible for Northern Ireland since July 2016, is to step down ahead of major surgery following the discovery of a small lesion on his right lung. The Trump administration is nearing completion of a new Buy American plan that calls for U.S. military attaches and diplomats to help drum up billions of dollars more in business overseas for the American weapons industry. President Donald Trump, as early as February, is expected to announce a whole of government effort to ease export rules on purchases by foreign countries of US-made military equipment, from fighter jets and drones to warships and artillery. Trump is seeking to fulfill a 2016 election campaign promise to create jobs in the United States by selling more goods and services abroad to bring down the US trade deficit from a 6-year high of $50 billion. At least 2 people were injured after a fire broke out on the roof of Trump Tower on Monday morning in New York. Secret Service members spotted smoke on the roof on the 58-story skyscraper in Midtown Manhattan. The building on 5th Avenue was where US President Donald Trump and his family lived before moving to the White House. Trump was in Washington when the fire broke out. According to his public schedule, the Secret Service then contacted a fire safety director in the lobby who used cameras to locate flames coming from a vent. The White House has stated that the U.S. President Donald Trump would gladly face Oprah Winfrey as an opponent in the 2020 presidential race after the social media buzz from her speech at an awards show thrust her name into the political arena. White House spokesperson Hogan Gidley said that Trump welcomes the challenge, whether it be Oprah Winfrey or anybody else. Winfrey stole the show at the Golden Globe Awards on Sunday night with her speech upon receiving the Cecil B. DeMille Award for Achievement. Prime Minister Theresa May posed with newly appointed ministers and Conservative Party vice chairs outside Downing Street during a reshuffle of her cabinet. The new ministers included Brandon Lewis, appointed as chairman of the Conservative Party, and James Cleverly, appointed deputy chairman of the party. The party lineup also included newly appointed vice chairperson for communities, Helen Grant, and Rehman Chishte. British Foreign Minister Boris Johnson has told his Palestinian counterpart Riyad al-Maliki that Jerusalem should ultimately be the shared capital of Israel and Palestine states. Johnson emphasized on the urgent need for renewed peace negotiations and the UK's clear and long-standing position on the status of Jerusalem. The UK had voted in favour of resolutions both in the UN Security Council and the General Assembly, rejecting the US recognition of Jerusalem as the capital of Israel. A group of Myanmar reporters asked the government for details about the arrest of 2 Reuters journalists last month, arguing that the case could have implications for the ability of journalists to do their jobs. The 2 Reuters journalists are being investigated on suspicion of breaching the Official Secrets Act, a little-used law that has been on the books from the days of British colonial rule. The 2 are due to appear in the court on Wednesday. It will be their second appearance in court, and the prosecutor could request that charges are filed against them. Now let's take a quick look of all the stories making news from across the globe.